Welcome back. There are two highly flammable situations flaring up on opposite sides of the world. First up, North Korea. Officials there declaring today that, quote, a thermonuclear war may break out at any moment as they vow to test missiles on a weekly basis. The rhetoric has Americans so on edge that some lawmakers are prepping emergency plans for an attack on our own soil. All this while the world continues to watch Syria, where activists say Bashar al-Assad once again attacked his own people, killing 10 civilians in an airstrike earlier today. President Trump just called the Turkish president to pledge close cooperation on the crisis in Syria and said, we'll see what happens the next time North Korea tests a missile. All right, the world is waiting for President Trump's next move, but my next guest says that if the president is ready to take action in one of these countries, he's not legally allowed to do so. It's Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano, joining me once again. So,
hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Nice to see you.
No matter what we're talking about, it's a joy to be here with you.
It is always great to have your advice and clarity, especially in these situations, because a lot of people have questions, particularly constitutionalists.
Right.
And we've already spoken about some of the legal challenges in Syria, and you talked about how both countries, our country and theirs, are signatories to the same treaty.
Correct.
So, therefore, it makes it much more problematic for a preemptive strike.
Yes, Syria is almost an insoluble legal and constitutional problem for the president. There is almost no circumstance under which he could legally attack Syria, short of getting the permission of the UN, which means the General Assembly and the Security Council, which Russia, of course, has veto power in. Primarily because, as you say, we're both signatories to the same treaty, and quite frankly, Syria presents no credible threat to the United States of America whatsoever. The same cannot be said for North Korea.
That's very interesting, and I think there are a lot of people watching who would be curious to see that there's actually a difference here. Please explain that.
Yes, as you pointed out in your introduction to this segment, North Korea has threatened the United States, and intelligence sources, American intelligence sources, believe North Korea could reach Los Angeles with certain types of missiles. It could certainly reach South Korea, it could certainly reach Japan, and it could probably reach Hawaii. So if North Korea continues to threaten the United States and then test fires rockets which manifest the ability to carry out that threat, that triggers a legal right on the part of the President of the United States to conduct a preemptive attack, not to kill civilians, not even to kill soldiers, or at least not to target them, but to destroy their ability to carry out that attack. I mean, which is better, that North Korea attacks us or an ally, and then we attack them, or that we stop them before they attack us or an ally?
Yeah, and does that violate the president's non-interventionist policy that he voiced when he was running for office?
Yes, it does, as did his bombing of Syria, as do a number of other things that he's done. But he is either changing his mind or has seen things which would cause him to reevaluate what he said in the campaign. I mean, that is a political, and in his case, maybe even a psychological argument. But he has no legal grounds for Syria, but strong legal grounds for North Korea. Look, you can always defend yourself, and you can always pull the trigger before the other side does when it is nearly certain that they are about to pull it. You don't have to wait for your own side to suffer before you get engaged in the conflagration. I just hope that he has good, solid, sound intelligence, not a false flag, not some diversion, not some...
Or an emotional reaction.
Correct. Look, you and I know there are a lot of very serious people in this country, including a major scientist at MIT, who said this thing with Assad and the gassing of the kids didn't happen. There was gas there because they attacked a warehouse and they didn't know that there were chemicals in there. Children were harmed, but not by the intentional acts of the Assad government. The president has to be careful about jumping the gun, making a decision before all intelligence information is before him. Part of that's not his fault. Part of it is an intelligence community he inherited, which believes it can selectively conceal and selectively reveal in order to manipulate the recipient of the information, the president.
Yeah, and it all adds up to something that is quite terrifying, considering how threatening North Korea has been, some of their talk and bluster, their disdain for human life, as they've shown with the millions of people in that country who are either starving or who have died. And, you know, the fact that some of the facts may not just be in yet, and that perhaps was the case with Syria, that
yes.
we need a little bit more patience before
yes.
action.
Which is why, where he has the law on his side, I hope he waits until he has the facts on his side as well.
Well, thank goodness you are on our side. Thank you very much, Judge.
All the best,
Great
Kennedy.
to see you.